Hello, everybody. I'm barely back, but I'm back. Welcome to the Minutes with Milo live show Thursday night. Today is November the 20th, 2025. If I don't see you before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. So, let me make sure we're going out. Just because I hate to go through all this more than once. There we go. Looks like we are going out on the internet, which is good because that's why I'm here, is to go out on the internet and broadcast to you all. All right, so I don't know if y'all were disappointed or happy, but last week I did not do a show, so there's a little gap in my uploads. Call them an upload? I don't think they're really an upload because I do it live and YouTube just takes it all in and saves it for me. So I guess this is my live recording. Okay, the sound looks okay. So the last show I did was about a toy inventor that, did a good thing and kind of got the shaft by a bigger company. He figured it out and got back what he was deserved, his just rewards. You know what I mean. So if you haven't seen that, go back to my last. Hey, there's Roberto. Did you miss me last week? Just say yes. I'll take your silence as a yes, okay? So if you didn't see my last video that was on the toy inventor suing the toy company, go back last week before, this last upload that I did, and look at that. And tonight I'm going to follow up with that, not on the same inventor, but on the same thing. All right, and just so happens that I came across one that had water involved. It was a kid's toy, and it was something simple. Now, I started to do one on something that may be more, I don't know, I won't say more people know about, but I kind of got conflicting stories about if it was true or not, so I didn't do it. And I'll just give you a little bit of what I was thinking about before tonight's show is going to be on. Well, if you looked at the thumbnail, it's about water balloons. Air hogs. Now, if you, I guess, were a kid of the 90s, maybe, you may have had one. And what was an air hog? It was a toy airplane that used compressed air as the fuel for its engine, hence the name air hog. So you would pump it up and start it, and you could fly it. And then later on, there was more advanced ones and anything like that. That was going to be my original story for tonight. But like I said, there were some conflicting stories on whether or not there was a lawsuit between the inventor and the toy company. And so I didn't do it. And I'll tell you the discrepancy, just because I'm still up in the air about artificial intelligence, this AI stuff. So when I was looking it up downstairs on my laptop, I used Grok, the standalone app. And it said, yeah, I was asking it about, because I wanted to kind of continue this theme, inventors and toys and that kind of stuff. It said, well, here's one about air hogs, and, inventor gets investment, sells it to a toy company doesn't pay him everything he's due, and he goes back and sues and gets it. I said, cool. So I come upstairs getting ready for the show, and I put that same kind of query into Gemini, and it says, oh yeah, this guy invented this and then that, and everything was peachy keen. And I said, well, wasn't there a lawsuit? Nope, couldn't find a lawsuit. Oh, well, that's funny because Grok said there was. And it said, what the hell does he know? And I thought, well, that's an insult. So I got on my telephone, and I don't have the standalone app. Balloon. Yep, balloons. Did I not put balloons in there? Anyway, Roberto's sidetracking me. So I don't have the app on my phone, but I do have X, of course. If you follow, Minutes with Milo, you know I've got an X account. So I got on Grok there, and I said, tell me about this. And it says, oh yeah, he invented this, he sold it to that company, and everything's hunky-dory. And I said, wait a minute. Just downstairs, your brother Grok, your twin, whatever, told me about this lawsuit. And he goes, what does he know? So I nixed that idea. And then I asked Gemini, what can you tell me about some toys that, had lawsuits involved? So it told me the story about these water balloons. And it was pretty interesting because I've seen these things. I never did play with them because I'm old. I never did play with air hogs either, but I wanted one. Most men are just grown-up kids at heart. And so I wanted one to play with. Excuse me. But I never did get one. Santa Claus, the old grungy man, didn't bring me one. So I didn't have one. So, water balloons. And I thought it was kind of fitting that, we did one last week. My last show was on super soakers and all that kind of stuff. It's another kid's toy that you'd play with, at a birthday party or just around your house or, hot summer day, those kind of things. So I went with that thing. And when Gemini, I'm trying to bring it up here so we can look at it. Where do we go? No, it gave me some stuff about manufacturing too. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let me do one quick thing. Come on. I'm trying to type. Yeah, actually, so Robert says he never had an air hog, but he had one of the rockets that you put water in and you put compressed air in behind the water. Now, if you know anything or have heard anything about physics, you'll know that water does not compress. All right, so you can compress air and take it, 5 pounds and squish it down to a smaller volume, and the pressure increases because you're squishing it. Water you can't squish. It doesn't compress. It'll fight you. So that's why you get, as a side note, one of the things that I don't think it's done much anymore, but I think it was done in the early automotive industry. I think it was done with fighter planes that used propped engines, but they had a water injection system. It's still around somewhere. A water injection system that would take a mist of water and mix it with the gasoline because it increased compression. You know, the gasoline and air mixture would compress and then it's ignited in an explosion. We throw a little water in there, it takes up volume and it doesn't compress. So it comes down to a certain point, increases the compression, and then you blow it up because there's still air and gas in there, and you're supposed to get, you know, better performance out of it. And I think they used to do it with fighter planes, airplane engines, rotary engines, and things like that. They would spritz a little water in there. It cools the chamber, it cools the mixture, it does all these hunky-dory things. But rocket. So you put the water in the rocket, you put compressed air in behind it. It forces the air in there tighter and tighter, but the water won't compress. And then when you pull the trigger or hit the button or whatever, the water and air would all shoot out the bottom of the rocket at the same time because it's under pressure and shoot this little old, it almost looked like a Zeppelin balloon turned up on its tail, or maybe a torpedo would be a better example. Turned up on its tail, and you pumped it, and then and it went shot up into the air. Pretty cool little deal, but as always what would happen, I think this is what happened to me. There's a locking mechanism on the bottom of the little rocket that holds it. Well, after a few times, I don't know how many, but a few, 100 maybe, I don't know. It couldn't hold it. It would weaken. So you'd start pumping it instead of putting, I don't know, let's say 2 pounds in it. You could only get 1 pound in it before it just popped off by itself. Premature rockulation, as some people call it. And if you ever suffered from premature rockulation, it's no fun no more. So that's what Robert was talking about. I don't know what you call them, but it's funny he mentions that because a couple of days ago, maybe today, my hat's still, is it my head that's crooked? Oh man, that just don't feel right. Let me do this again. There. Now it's still on crooked, but it feels right. Let's see if we can get you a picture of this thing. Come on, buddy. Oh yeah. But that's not the toy. That's not the toy. Oh law, that's not the toy. That thing's as big as a man. I know the one Robert's speaking of. I've just got to find a picture of it. It looked kind of like that, but that wasn't it. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is what Robert is speaking of. Let's see if we can click it up there a little bit. Oh, right in there. Okay, so this is the rocket. This was the little pump. Here's what I was talking about. See this little slidey thing and this little section on the back of the rocket? Well, you use the funny. Use the funnel to help put water in the rocket. And I think this was the way it worked. You just put water in this red portion. That's the reason it's see-through. So once you got that much water in there, you hooked it to this jobber here. You pumped it up and down, up and down, up and down until you built up so much pressure. And then you would pop the lock loose. I think with this little button here on the end, you pop that little button on the end. This is all from childhood memory. And then the rocket would, didn't make that noise either. It was just, and you're guaranteed to get wet at some point. That's all I can tell you. But this little piece would always, after a while, it would wear out, and you had premature rogulation. But that's what Roberto there was talking about. And it's just not the same principle, not at all. This thing's a rocket. I'm talking balloons. All right. So the inventor of this little Dickens was Josh Malone. Let's see if we can scoot that over. Josh Malone is an inventor of a massively successful summer toy, Bunch O' Balloons, a system for filling and self-sealing multiple water balloons simultaneously. He quit his corporate job in 2006. Now, this man's got some cojones, okay? I don't know. For all I know, he was a corporate janitor. Who knows? But he had a corporate job. Pursued his life of an inventor and entrepreneur. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that. After 8 years of struggle, he developed Bunch O' Balloons, which became the #1 selling spring-summer toy and sold over 1 billion individual balloons worldwide. Now, not toys, billion individual balloons. He licensed the product to a toy company called Zuru. All right, there's your first mistake. If you're going to Hasbro, okay, Hasbro's kind of a strange name. So's Mattel. But Zuru? They picked the last letter in the alphabet to start their name of their toy company? No, not good. All right. Malone solved a 63-year-old problem. Do some math. I like to do a little math every once in a while. All right, so he quit his job in 2006. After 8 years of struggle, so 2014-ish, he developed a bunch of balloons. So here comes the math part. Get my mathulator out. Get rid of that. Bring up the tools. We're doing the calculator. And 2014 minus 63 equals 1951. Okay. I'm squirreling here. All right. What does that mean? Squirreling? That means my brain has saw something, thought of something, and now I'm off on a different tangent. So 1951. It says it's a 63-year-old problem. Let's see. Let's say toy balloons. When were toy balloons invented? Toy balloons were first created in the early 1800s by Michael Faraday. Invented the first rubber balloon in 1824, which he used in experiments with hydrogen. First manufactured toy balloons were produced by J.G. Ingram of London in 1847, making the beginning of the modern toy balloon. All right. When were water balloons invented? Now, I know water balloons not really invented. Oh, look at that. Y'all can't see it. How can I expect you to look at it if you can't see it? Look at that. Water balloons were invented in 1950 by Edgar Ellington, who initially created them as a waterproof sock to prevent trench foot. He accidentally threw the water-filled sock on a table, which exploded, leading him to market what he called water grenades. The innovation eventually became known as water balloons, popularized as a summer activity for cooling off. Well, there you go. So, maybe my other math was a little bit off, and Josh Malone came up with Bunch O' Balloons in 2013, maybe? In 2013, which would then be a 63-year-old problem of how do you fill more than one balloon at a time? That was the problem. All right? The problem was of manually filling and tying individual, tying is an important thing, individual water balloons. I don't know how he came up with this. Some of it's simple, some of it's not so simple, and I'll explain. His invention used a manifold of flexible straw-like tubes with a balloon on each one. That's the simple part. All right, so you have one into many. Okay, so he took one water spigot, funneled it down, and turned it into a bunch of straws. Here comes the hard part. See, straw-like tubes with a balloon and an O-ring pre-fitted on each end. When attached to a hose, the balloons filled up, and their weight caused them to detach, sealing the water inside with the O-ring. That, my friends, is the trick. Anybody could probably fill a water balloon with a straw and get it filled, and then you'd have to slide it off, tie that special knot in the end of it, so then the water wouldn't come out. So, I think the O-ring served multiple purposes. Hear me out. Of course, he said this one shows that it. Well, hello, Quintessises, however you might say your name. Welcome to the Live Minutes with Milo show. We're talking water balloons here. I hope you're a fan. Where was I? Oh, the little O-ring. All right. So two things. It sealed off the balloon after the water was in there, but in my analytical mind, it also had to hold the balloon while it was being filled. Part of my problem with filling a water balloon is on a spigot, an outside spigot. You have to stretch the end of the balloon up over the spigot mouth. It's not designed to do that. Then you turn the water on. If you turn it on too fast, it just goes, it spits the balloon right off the end. So you have to hold the balloon onto the spigot while you slowly fill it with water. Then when it gets long and saggy, you got to pinch the water off and pull it up and tight. I don't know how many water balloons are broke either trying to get it off the spigot and the little rubber just tears, or you get it off the spigot and you're trying to stretch it to get enough loop in there to build the knot, tie the knot. Boom, blows up in your hands. So, major problem right there is how to hold them on the straw, and then once they're filled, how to seal them. He figured it out. To me, let's learn more about that. No, that was not very interesting. Okay, he successfully launched the product on Kickstarter, raising over $900,000 from independent backers. Okay, so Kickstarter, I believe, in 2013, we're going to say it was 2013. The internet was there, and it was pretty decent. So I think Kickstarter was one of these things where you could get on the internet and, maybe put in your product, get some responses from potential investors. Well, he got $900,000. Hello, Quintessises. Yep, it came through. Okay. Following the partnership with Zuru, the product achieved global sales exceeding 500 million. All right, so let's see if we can see a picture of. Now this is the picture that Jim and I drew for me. I asked it to put a bunch of balloons on the end of straws and make it look like a flower arrangement, and it came up with the words all of on its own. Excellent. Let's see. What was that? A bunch of balloons. Let's see what the picture looks like. Okay. Should we watch a video? Yes. Yes, I believe we should. Because like I said, I've never played with one of these things. All right, let's pause it. Can you see that? Looks like you can. I can see it. Turn up the volume.
Want to soak the competition with speed and ease never seen before? Fill and tie 100 water balloons in just 60 seconds. That's 100 water balloons locked, loaded, and...
Whoa. Quintetisis. Why don't people pick an easy name? But that's okay. They report that they did one, but it burned their house to pieces. A water balloon burned your house to pieces. Or did you do an invention that burned your house to pieces? Good question. But I think I'd stop this probably right at the best time, because this poor lady is about to get ballooned. Let's go back. I saw something interesting here. Right here. Maybe not. Right here. All right, so see all these little really dark pieces on the end of the straws? Those are his, what do they call them? Rubber something? Nice, wise old beard. Hey, you ought to see it full screen. I've got just a little zoomy picture of it, but the full screen, you wait. You'll be impressed. Maybe. The little rubber pieces at the end. So when these kids fill the balloons, you notice they kind of pop it.
That's 100 water balloons locked,
There
loaded.
you go. Oh, how did I miss that? Right. Come on, buddy. Right there. Now that's pretty cool. Okay. So if he did that, that's all right. See how the little band cuts off the balloon end so the water doesn't come out? Let's see what happens to the lady.
Locked, loaded, and delivered at rapid
Bam,
speed.
bam,
Zuru
bam.
Bunch of Balloons blast the competition out of the water with one self-sealing shake. Attach Zuru Bunch of Balloons to any nozzle and fill them all at once for epic ammunition. You'll be firing them while the neighbors are filling them one by one. Water balloon warfare will never be the same. No more getting tangled in ties. Zuru Bunch of Balloons, they're a total blast. Self-sealing Zuru Bunch of Balloons, each pack sold several.
Okay. So I never played with them. They look like fun. One, I won't say major drawback, but one drawback, it looks like they're single use. So, which would make sense. Okay? So you've got a bag of these wands, these straws with balloons on the end of them. And apparently 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 bands. And if they, I don't know how many's on there. It says to fill 100 balloons in 60 seconds. So is there like 10 balloons or 11 balloons or something on each, bunch of straws? It's actually 8 bands. Okay. So is there 8 bunches of balloons? Okay. 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So 9/8 isn't 100. But anyway. So I don't think you can use them over and over, because that means you would have to reload a balloon onto each straw with the special rubber band on it. So kind of wasteful, because if you had 100 water balloons, I guess you could have 50 each, and then you have one fight. Water balloons, they're fun, but then you got all these busted balloons. And I noticed they weren't very big, which is nice, because, little kids can't throw, big water balloons. So, well, now they're 25 bucks. I don't know what they were back in the day. But anyway, as far as the invention goes, I feel like that would probably be the hardest thing, is how to get the balloons on there and the bands on there and figure out how to make that work. And then, because, they just shook it once and they all just fell off and, closed up. That's very, very important. I like it. So let's go on and read a little more about it, because what happened? Okay. So Malone and his company, Tennis Enterprises LLC, face significant legal challenges to protect the invention, primarily against the As Seen on TV company Telebrands, which released knockoff products like Balloon Bonanza. Well, we have another visitor. Hello, Corinne Prod. I'm not good with names. All right, Robert Bradford, the number one. I've got that. Quintessence, I can make that up. Corinne Prod, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Balloon Bonanza. Let's look at Balloon Bonanza and see just how close that is. Bonanza. I don't spell very well. Okay. Balloon Bonanza. So this was the knockoff company. Okay. You got this Quintessence. Just a random viewer saw this video, I guess, after watching a random video. Hey, I'm a random kind of guy too. Very interesting. Well, thank you very much. If you like it, I've got, what is this one, 115? I've got 114 other interesting live shows, videos now that you could maybe go back and watch. And don't judge me on my artwork on those thumbnails. Well, thank you for subscribing. You're probably the, and Ken Prod too. Thank you very much, because I could use new subscribers. I mean, I like Roberto. He's been around since the very beginning, and if you go back to the very, very beginning, you can see him. You just got to figure out which one of the boys in the boys band that he is. So, Balloon Bonanza was an As Seen on TV product that was a knockoff of Buncho Balloon. So, I can see where they think that that is an infringement on the patent, right? So, what happened? It's a suspense story. Patent litigation, all right? Malone and Zuru filed multiple lawsuits against Telebrands for patent infringement, winning several preliminary injunctions to stop the sales. The $31 million award in one key patent suit, a jury found Telebrands willfully infringed the Bunch of Balloons patent. A judge later doubled the jury's damage award for the willful infringement, resulting in a final judgment of over $30 million, which included some attorney's fees. Malone also fought to defend his patent from challenges as the Patent Trial and Appeals Board, a controversial administrative court with the USPTO, which at one point invalidated his patent claims. So, I've often wanted to have a patent. Quintessa says they got grenaded back in the day. Was it with just individual water balloons, or was it something like this where you were outgunned by one of these inventions? So that, it would seem unfair if one side had a bunch of balloons like in the video, and the other side is filling one balloon at the end of a end of a spigot. Now, Quintessus is a single arm water balloon chucker because got an arm amputated. And I hope that's a joke. I'm taking it as a joke. If it's not a joke, I'm sorry. My kids had you'd buy a bag of water balloons, special balloons that were smaller than your blow up party balloons. And it came with a screw on thing for the faucet, and it was just like a little funnel, a little nozzle on the end, and you had to slide the balloon up, turn the water on, and hold it there while it filled it up, turn the water off, and put it on there. So, I mean, which was okay. It didn't cost me $25, but you had the bag of colored balloons. And you know what was funny? The balloons were so good that when they were filled, you had to get that right spot because you could throw them at somebody, they would bounce off their head and then hit the ground, and then that's when they blew up. So sometimes it wasn't very fun. All right, we got us a new viewer in here. I'm going to say Stealth Z. Stealth Z. Stealthy is this viewer's name. Welcome to the show. Oh, I'm better with Stealthy than. I'm not even going to attempt what you say your real name is, and I'm sorry. It might be Spanish, might be French. I'm not sure. So we're going to call you Stealthy. Because that's what shows up on there. So I'm saying I wouldn't mind. I would like to invent something. And these are cool things. Are you leaving, Stealthy? Somebody leaving? Got to go. Corinne Prod, thank you very much for subscribing. Come back next Thursday. Hope to have another live show. Check out some of the other videos. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. I appreciate it. But this is what kind of scares me is you come up with something, and I'm not 100% sure how patents work, but let's just say you come up with something like this, and in your patent you say you use a rubber band to seal off the balloon, and then somebody comes up with not a rubber band but a steel band. I know, just making this up. It comes up with a steel band for sealing the balloon, which would be stupid. Then that would hurt when it hit you. Just working on this, and then they could make those because in your patent you said you used a rubber band. So I think patents have to be specific yet general, if that makes sense. You got to cover all your bases. Maybe it's not rubber anymore, so you don't say a balloon made of rubber. You just say a material that holds water or air, whatever. Let's see, there's some comments going on. Oh, you think it's very good live? I appreciate that. I'm sorry my picture is so small, but I want people to be able to see what I'm seeing. Oh yeah, FR, please do that. Make one of the lawsuit robo-locks. You want to see one on robo-locks. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to look it up and see what. Maybe you'll hear in a minute. We'll look at robo-locks just because I don't have a script. We'll get off on Roberto or Robert. He can tell you. We'll jump off on some tangents here. And that's what worries me about patents, is if they just change just a couple of things, then they can run off with your basic idea and go make millions and put you out of business because, I mean, these non-disclosure, one of the things is I'm not super smart. Sometimes my mind wanders. That's the reason I started this channel, is because my mind goes to all kinds of crazy things. And I think about them. I think, I wonder if I could make that, as an invention. Then I think, you know what would happen is I would ask somebody to help me, and then they would be really smart, and they'd say, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. Think of something else and come back to me. And in the meantime, they go and file a patent for it. And there I am. It's just like, hey, you know what? I thought about that first. It's like, oh, no, I did that. I did it all on my own. That's worrying me. That would worry me. You'd have to have all these non-disclosures. You'd have to sign legal agreements just to talk to somebody about it. If I get off my soapbox. All right, so Mr. Malone and his bunch of balloons. Hey, it's got a picture of him. He looks English. Why do I think he looks English? You want to hear what he says? Well, let's hear what he says. What's he got to say? Oh, hold
on. Welcome to Clause 8, the voice of IP.
Wait a minute. Did we just jump on somebody else's stuff? I don't know.
Clause 8 is part of IP Watchdog and hosted by Eli Mazur. If you enjoy listening, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, share it with others, and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're not already a regular IP Watchdog reader, check it out.
Until I serendipitously stepped into the public relations side of litigation. Yes. So it was a good decision.
I don't think that's not what I thought it was. That's a podcast on litigation. If you want to watch it, it's Josh Malone, How the Inventor of a Bunch of Balloons Won. And it's Clause 8. I guess it's YouTube. It said it was a podcast. Some people call this a podcast. I do have podcasts. I'm not going to even go into that. I do have some podcasts out there. But anyway. All right. So once again, the little guy stands up for his rights. And, $30 million. It doesn't say how long it took to get that. But we know it was a good idea because he raised $900,000 on just his ability alone, right? So he knew he had a good idea, but I don't know where do you come up with Zuru? I don't know. That wasn't the link I thought it was. None of them are. This is Gemini for the people that are just now tuning in or still listening. I don't know if anybody's still listening or not. But I'm using Gemini because Grok 3 won't work on this computer up here. Don't know why. But anyway, all right, that's 43 minutes to be rambling on about poor Josh and his invention. No, he's not poor. I hope he's a multi-millionaire now. I hope he continues to do, inventions, because he quit his corporate job, a while back. So let's see. Robo-locks. What is a robo-locks? I hope it's in the, okay. A platform where you can play, create, and share games with millions of users. Sign up for free, choose your name, and start having fun on your device. So there was a lawsuit apparently with this. I'll have to check into it. My viewers have requested something. Finally. What Robert requests is not safe for viewing. I'm just making fun, Robert. Don't get all mad. All right. Let's get back to it. 43 minutes, like I said, of me rambling and on and on and on about this stuff. I think would be long enough. So anyway, that was my, I don't know, I won't say follow-up because it was about a different person, but yet it did involve water. It did involve toys, things that were well known. Okay, super soakers. Everybody after a while had knockoffs, just like I'm sure a bunch of balloons and all that kind of stuff. There were knockoffs. So, my kids played with those things, and they were fun. Like I said, water balloons almost have to be filled perfectly. Otherwise, they won't bust on your intended victim. They bounce off, hit the ground, and then sometimes they don't even bust in. I guess as a kid and as a dad, I was still afraid of filling that water balloon, to the ragged edge, because I don't know how many just blow up on me, and I hadn't even been hit by a water balloon yet, and I was already drenched. So maybe it was my fault. Probably was. I'm just a poor water balloon filler, I guess. All right, so that's the end of tonight's show. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. Leave me a comment if you've got ideas. If you have an idea and you want to phone in, at the bottom left-hand side of my screen, and I hope it shows up the way it is here. It's not reversed or something stupid. No, it's not, because I see it on the internet. I watch my own shows. All right. Well, how do people get like millions of views if they don't let their own videos, play over and over? I don't know. Anyway, phone number's on there. You can call in. Hopefully be respectful. Don't curse and make fun of me. But anyway, like, subscribe to the channel. Tell your loved ones. Tell your neighbors. Tell somebody you hate. Doesn't bother me. Tell your cellmate. I don't care. Tune in. Usually Thursdays. I didn't have one last Thursday because personal reasons, whatever you want to say. I was lazy. I was tired. I don't know. Call it what you want. But then I do have some uploaded videos, very few. More boring stuff. Me trying to fix things that I don't know how to fix. But anyway, I appreciate it. For all the people that came in, put in comments, that's great. I appreciate it. Robert, thanks for showing up. I don't know what happened to Garthog. Maybe he was thinking that I wasn't having a show tonight, or maybe he's doing something fun. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, I appreciate it. Until next time, let's see if we can get this to stop without me looking like a fool. You'll not be able to